Hello viewers, today we are going to talk about food security. There is sufficient evidence from ancient civilizations such as ancient Egypt and ancient China that food could be kept by central authorities and then released during times of famine. In modern times, as at the 1974 World Food Conference, food security has mostly been defined with an emphasis on physical supply and use of food. According to Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO), food security is a condition that relates to a situation when all people have physical, economic, and social access to safe, sufficient, and nutritious amount of food all the time to meet dietary needs and get nutritional preferences for healthy and active life. The FAO has identified four security dimensions concerning food: food availability, physical, economic, and social access to food, sufficient food utilization, and considerable stability over time. In this regard, there have to be physical availability of food to address the supply side, sufficient level of food production, stock levels, and net trade are attained. Economic and physical access to food involves a case whereby people can afford the food and get in touch with it physically. Adequate supply of food alone cannot guarantee food security since, although food may be available, people may not afford or possess it. People concerned have to make use of food. The body has to make use of most nutrients and energy in it. Despite taking adequate nutritional and energy value from the food has to be continuously available for a stable period of time. This is the World Food Security Index 2013. In the above map, it is evident that although DR Congo is the largest country in Africa with abundant natural resources, poor accessibility to food makes it difficult for Congolese people to attain food security. The same is the case with Mexico. Although it produces enough food and neighbors the United States, which produces abundant food, it is not able to feed its entire population successfully due to poor accessibility. Next, we move to our main part of discussion, using the butterfly model to describe determinants of food security. The butterfly model. In order to comprehensively discuss what influences or determines food security in every community, this study will use the butterfly model. To discover holistically how a health issue is determined with regard to a specific community, one has to consider both biophysical environment and socio-economic environment as shown in the diagram. Elements or determinants of biophysical environment are air, water, soil, climate, plants, animals, and microbes. Those of socio-economic environment are home or the family, neighbors or friends, workplace or workers, social networking institutions, healthcare systems, political institutions, and voluntary organizations. Elements in biophysical environment determine quantities and qualities of air, water, food, and aesthetics. Those in socioeconomic environment determine early childhood development, personal empowerment, social support, and community attachment. How these determinants are interconnected to influence food security. Global freshwater crisis due to low rainfall and falling scores of water tables have been identified as primary cause of famine in most parts of the world. The widespread scarcity has contributed to cutbacks in grain harvests. Intensive farming has led to soil and air degradations and eventual changes in climate. Viscous cycles of exhausted soil have led to depletion of soil nutrients, reductions in air retention capacities, and deaths of nutrient-producing plants, animals, and microbes. Despite the soil exhaustion effects, agricultural diseases have continuously devastated animals and plants. For instance, the UZ99 disease could cause about 100% of wheat crop losses. Although the disease is currently prevalent in Africa and Middle East, it is expected to spread to other parts of the world. Labors and social societies that engage in agriculture have to encourage proper land use. All arable lands have to be used properly. There should be no land contaminations or degradations. Each year, communities have been losing arable lands due to improper land use. For instance, the Netherlands has been losing 1.57% of its arable land each year for the last 6 years. Voluntary organizations and social support networks such as FAO have been laying out policy framework to ensure that food scarcity is averted. They have urged governments around the world to increase investments in more sustainable agriculture and transform their food production and consumption patterns. These policies have also sought to improve property rights, foster local food markets, and encourage family farming. In most parts of the world, food security may not be well achieved due to the fact that women are not being able to own farms, agriculture is not being adapted to climate changes, and individuals are not being encouraged to buy local foods. Health organizations such as the World Food Programme (WFP) have used food aids to eradicate hunger and poverty and promote food security. In particular, the program has been providing food aids to refugees and other groups experiencing food emergencies. Other organizations like the UNICEF UK have been helping children in climate hit areas to get access to clean food and water. Politically, some countries have shown inactivity or lack of resilience to plan for likely famine. According to economist Amartya Sen, although there can be oversupply of food products in one zone of the country, still there can be mass starvation in other parts of the same country. When there is no rule of law to protect private properties and investments, no one can expect farming activities to flourish. Increments in price by rice exporting countries such as Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, Vietnam, and Laos can reduce its affordability and therefore scarcity. By salutogenesis, it is evident that both physical environment and socio-economic environment have to interact to support human health. In this regard, all their elements have to interact interdependently to support human life. Despite fertile soil with all nutrients, plants, and microbes, there have to be enough rainfall for agriculture to be successful. This indicates that a climate with optimum rainfall is needed to ensure good qualities and quantities of air, water, and food. However, each family has to plan for an optimum number of members that it can successfully cater for. Communities and social networking organizations have to ensure that people involved in sustainable farming. Nevertheless, the government has to set up policies that ensure food security, such as affordable food pricing and soil erosion reduction. As a conclusion, current definitions of food security put more emphasis on physical availability of foods and its use. Despite being physically available, it has to be affordable in prices and useful in terms of nutrients and well-being. However, food security is determined by many interrelated and interdependent factors as explained using the butterfly model. Despite the natural environment, such as soil, water, microbes, plants, animals, and climates, being enough and suitable, socio-economic environments such as the family, the community, and the government have to involve in suitable and sustainable practices to ensure sustainable food security. Thank you. The reference list.